Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Archie's Briefing, second episode of the year. So excited to be back. I did see some comments in the comment section asking where have I been this time. I was focusing on the insurance work and I haven't really been able to, schedule out the podcast and the insurance work. And so that was really what that time was about, just focusing on that and not so much the podcast. But now that I feel like I got a handle on it, you're going to get way more of me, and that's going to be a good thing. So you don't got to worry about that. Today, you guys, we are going to talk about what's going on with Canada. I did see in the last episode, one of the comments was, this has been a very eventful year and we're not even out of January. The Orange Man has not even taken the oath of office yet, and so much has been going on. But I do want to talk about this Canada situation because there is something to be said about that, from the potential tariff war that was going to happen prior to Trudeau resigning. Then he resigns and Trump still wants to get his hands on it. Let's see where that goes. That's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, you guys, I want you to take the time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Subscribe and share, because that definitely helps us with the algorithm. Hit that notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. Thanks for having me back. Glad you guys are watching. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Canada, shall we?
There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I'm not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment.
Okay, you guys. So as I said in the open, we are going to be talking today about Canada, Trump's interest in Canada. Now, when this whole thing first broke out, I thought this was a joke and couldn't really take it quite so literal. I thought because we had this back and forth going on with not just with Canada, but also with Mexico, that this was just him being hyperbolic, him just being funny, being the Trump that we kind of are used to. There was some beef there. And so we had some stuff to say specifically as related to the illegal immigration. Y'all know how I feel about the borders. You know, I feel about immigration, both legal and illegal, but specifically when it comes to the illegal immigration coming from both the Canada side and from the Mexico side, this is where the beef was coming from. He was making jokes about Canada, but he didn't make the same joke about Mexico, about making Mexico a state. So I just thought that this was kind of a joke. Didn't really take this seriously. So before I go ahead and start getting into any other confrontations, Trudeau's resignation, I'm going to pull up the Christmas letter because there was something really funny about it. Obviously, we're in January now, but it was quite astounding, quite hilarious. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull that up for you guys first because I thought it was hilarious. Let's go ahead and let's do that, shall we? Okay, you guys. So this is, I couldn't find the actual letter from Truth Social, so I ended up looking for it through some of the news articles, and I can't even tell you which one this is from, but they kind of get the gist of it. So we're going to go ahead and let's read that for you now. But we're really only going to just focus on these two paragraphs here. Trump then mocked Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whom he referred to as a governor, and suggested once again that the United States could annex Canada as its 51st state. He wrote that if Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%. Their businesses would immediately double in size, and they would be militarily protected like no other country anywhere in the world. Now, of course, that is the case, right? They're right there. So, of course, we can protect them better than any other country on the other side of the world, across the Atlantic, simply because they are our next door neighbors. Of course, I can defend mine and you because you're right next door, as opposed to a whole neighborhood down the road, right? Like, that's kind of the gist. Because you're right there next to me, we can do far more good protecting you than if you were, not even so much that, but it's like it's now my property, right? That's really the idea. I can protect you better because you're my state, because you're the 51st state. It doesn't kind of get into the question of the colonization theory that the left always constantly keeps saying. We keep wanting to take up more territory. Puerto Rico is not a state. It seems like occupied territory. And so, at what point do we add these places as stars on the flag? I don't know. That's kind of the whole thing there, but I did find that to be kind of hysterical in the letter.
I think you mean North Montana. Hasn't been called Canada in years.
Like, I just can't even really wrap my head around that. I thought because of the back and forth with Trudeau, the possible tariff war, that was going to be the case. Obviously, Canada said that they were going to put tariffs on the United States. Trump was going to do the same thing. This is something that he really likes to do when it comes to his kind of wars. It's usually about money, tariffs, and that would have been interesting to see. I'm glad we were able to avoid that, but then it ended up resulting in Trudeau ended up crying like a big old baby.
Oh, that's cold.
So really, if that's the case, Trudeau is out, no tariff confrontation. I thought that once this whole thing was over, particularly when Trudeau just folded and said, I'm out of this. I'm not trying to do this anymore. I quit. I give up. We don't need to have these tariff problems. I thought that was going to be the end of it. Then Trudeau obviously resigned. We're not going to show any of those clips because, to be honest, I don't really care about Trudeau's resignation. I care that he resigned. I don't care to watch the video. It was painful to watch. Just this is a grown man who is the head of a nation and he's crying damn near. I mean, my goodness, like 21st century, our leaders are just not, they're just not what they need to be. My guy survives several attempts on his life and this guy cries because, oh my goodness, the tariff war. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna need you. So glad he's gone. Maybe Canada can do something better because they'll find some kind of conservative backing on that. But again, this doesn't seem to be the end of this conversation, just going based off of the Christmas message, right? That their taxes are going to go down, that the nation that becomes a state, the 51st state of the country, is going to be doing way better because of that. I mean, like, what should the Canadians say to that? And what do we say if this were to even be the case? You're welcome. Going beyond the Canada circumstance, in that Christmas letter, he did reference the Chinese running the Panama Canal. He did reference wanting to do something about Greenland. He did mention that he was going to consider using military force for the Panama Canal, for Greenland, which seems to be a potential confrontation with Denmark. We shall see. I like this candidate, or I like this president-elect specifically because in his first term, he was the no new war kind of a candidate, right? One of the reasons why we were such big fans of people like Tulsi Gabbard is because with her in the cabinet, she's going to make sure that we hear the no war ideas that come from America first. And again, you don't got to be Republican. You don't have to be a Democrat. You just got to be the person who says no new wars. If you're anything like me and you look at the history of the central bankers, that's a whole other episode, but just summing it up real quick, seems to be that every war is a banker's war. If we can avoid these wars that are in the interest of the bankers and not the interest of the American people, then this is a good thing. And so I'm a little concerned about this. Guys, get in the comments and let me know what you think about potential military force with the Panama Canal, with Greenland. I don't even know how we're going to get forward with that. This Canada thing just seemed like a joke to me, but now he seems to be more and more serious about this. I didn't even know that this was going to be a thing. Frankly, Puerto Rico is occupied territory. Could Canada be something similar? If anything, I thought Mexico was going to be another state joke, but it wasn't. And Trudeau was gone. There's no tariff war coming with Canada. I thought this was going to be over, and it's not. He's still talking about how serious he is about making Canada a state. And, the taxes are going to be better and businesses are going to be booming. If you looked at what happened with Christine Noem and her fight with Trudeau, she had businesses coming from Canada into the United States because they wanted freedom, and they got that with South Dakota. Obviously, a lot of the states didn't during the COVID days, but South Dakota did. And a lot of the businesses from Canada went to South Dakota because they could be open. They couldn't stand Trudeau. They couldn't stand Canada's policies, couldn't stand the tyranny coming from that country, that they came to the United States, brought their business with them, and have employed American citizens. Everything right with that situation, I might add. Everything was right. They left tyranny, came to freedom in one of the coldest states that the country has to offer. They hired Americans. They didn't compete and take jobs away from the American people, at least from what I know. I could be wrong. Get in the comments. Let me know if I was wrong about that. But what we do know, business left Canada, came to the States, went to South Dakota, and added opportunity for more Americans in her state. So absolutely love that. So the idea that Canada becoming a state, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if this adds to the colonization theory that the left has. I don't know if this adds to what G. Edward Griffin, the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, that adds to his argument about Trump being a puppet. I don't know how this works in our best interest as Americans. I don't know if this stops this idea of no new wars, no wars over absolute nonsense. Is this really about the security and the protection of the American people, or is this about American pride? Because pride cometh before the fall, and we don't want that. Obviously, Trudeau wanted nothing to do with confrontation with President Trump, physical or tariff-wise, right? He just wasn't for it.
Well, screw that!
So if he's not for adding new wars, how does he make Canada a state? If this is not a joke, I don't know if this is a joke, you guys. I honestly do not know. The year has barely even started. The man hasn't even taken the oath. And we're talking about making other countries states. He's talking about possible physical confrontation with the Chinese over the Panama Canal. Who knows? I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know. It's just fascinating to me. Fascinating. This was a joke. Remember, it was a joke. Canada's about to become North Montana, and they're who knows? Who knows what's about to happen? But you guys let me know. You get in the comment section to let me know. Do you think Trump is serious about making Canada a state? Do you think it's a good idea if Canada becomes a state or not? And if so, why do you think this helps or hurts the American people? Because I'm looking at Puerto Rico like they're not a state, they're occupied territory. Americans just go there to avoid paying taxes and for cheaper cost of living, but it doesn't actually add value to the whole of the nation. So, what good are we actually doing by adding more and more and getting bigger and bigger? I just keep thinking the Romans, I don't want to be so overextended by taking up territories that we forget about our primary area. Okay. At some point, expanding doesn't seem like a good idea. You expand too much, eventually the balloon pops. I don't want that to be us. So again, get in the comments and let me know. Again, you guys, you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this video, like this video, hit that notification bell so that we never miss an episode. So happy to be back. I can't wait to get back to my other background because this white wall thing is just not really doing it for me. Just really not. My dad is working for YouTube, but you guys keep coming back, and I very, very am appreciative of that. Grateful to all that. You guys let me know what you think about what's going on with this Canada thing. You can follow me on Instagram at Archie Financial. You can follow me on Twitter at Archie_finance. Thank you all for watching. God bless and Kepla.